generate document from formula URL. Each template you create is assigned a template ID. After you've created a template, set up formula URL field on your table that references the template ID. We have an example formula here, generate document. Okay. You can also copy the formula below and place it in the, okay. All right. So class is in session. Let me teach you what this is, right? So this is a formula URL, right? They're not taking the time to show you what this is. They're just saying, trust us and just put this in this thing. But I say, trust no man. Always trust but verify. That's my motto. It's always best to have your variables at the top and then do your work at the bottom, right? And the variable is made up of 4 parts, right? The first part lets you know that it's a variable. Second part is the type of variable, right? This is a number variable, right? Third part is the name of the variable. And the fourth part is the actual value itself of that variable, right? So this variable is a number type variable, name, record ID, equals the record ID field, right? And then they end the variable with the semicolon. Now you have 2 types of programmers in QuickBase. The first type of programmer does things in a way that you can't figure out what that programmer did. And they may do it for job security or may do it just to whatever, but they don't want you to know what they're doing, right? Second type of programmer is a programmer who, full disclosure, they're open book. They want you to know what they're doing so that if they're not there, someone comes in behind them, they can code and pick up right where that person left off, right? This programmer here is the second type of programmer. They have great comments behind their variables and their programs, and they're explaining as much as they can. So what they're explaining here is that record ID number you want you generating the document from, right? And that's a typo, but it's, in life, you're going to have typos. You live on this life, you live in this world long enough, you're going to have a typo. And so they have these variables. This is a number variable. This is a text. This one is the template ID. This template ID has to match the template that you're looking to target with this URL, right? This template that we just created is template ID number 1. That's going to be here, right? So if this template was template ID number 10, you'd have to make this number 10 in order for it to target number 10. Okay, bar text, table ID. This is a classic here. This is something that we all see. Capital D, lowercase BID. This here is a formula, and it will give you the database ID, which is the table ID, right? And then they explain it there. File name. I'm sure you'd have to change this name to the name here, like this. So in the documentation, they recommend that you use PDFs if you have a lot of graphics, because Word can't handle all of the graphics. So you want to use words for things like forms and things like that. But if it has a lot of graphics, pictures and such, you want to use PDFs. At the format variable here, that's going to control if it's a PDF. And you see here, they have PDF here for the format, but you would change this to docx if you want a Word document, or HTML if you want it to be a web page. And then the realm here. Now, let me explain what they did with this formula here. This may not be something that you know what this is, but I'm going to show you what they did. I explained this in the last video, but unfortunately, the last video I didn't record. So I'm going to explain it now in this video. And this one, I know I'm recording. So I'm going to I hope it's recorded. It better be recorded. So what you do is you read this from the inside out, right? Not left, URL root 8. That's the first function. And it's wrapped inside of the second function. And so what that's called is called a telescope. Not left, you start from the left and you count to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Not left takes all of this out, right? So now all you have is this, not right. This is where we are right now. Not right, this, right? So it goes all the way to the left and it finds this last one here. And anything that's not right means left. So it gives you everything to the left. So you get this. So this is this variable, right? It's wrapped up in that. Okay. And so those are the variables. So now that they have all the variables at the top, they're going to do the work at the bottom here. And this here is what's called a concatenation, right? And we are in a formula URL. So the work has to be, the result of the work has to be a URL that's created from a formula. That's what a formula URL field is. So this is going to render a URL, right? And they're using a technique called telescoping. And I'll show you how telescoping works, right? So basically, you have a concatenation of text and variables and function. This here is what's called a URL endpoint, right? And this URL endpoint is something that I've never seen before. API QuickBase.com v1 doc templates. They're sending a request to this URL endpoint with these commands, right? Template ID, which is this, right? And then, all right, so this URL endpoint is the first text of this sequence, right? Then they telescope out. Whenever you see an and another and then another semicolon, another quote, that means that you just telescoped out of one string and into another string, and you combine those strings with a variable, right? This is the variable here. And whenever you call a variable, you always want to call a variable by this $ and the name. And that would allow you to be able to call that variable here. And so that's a variable there. Text, generate table ID equals, and then that's going to be another part of the URL. But in here, the command says table ID equals, right? And then it says, then it telescopes out, then it grabs the table ID variable here, from here, right? So this is this, right? And then it continues. Rem equals, right? And so they telescope back into it, then they telescope out, and then they get the QB rem. This is the QB rem here, right? File name is this file name here, which is going to be a match of your template ID file name. Format equals, the format would be PDF, right? So it's going to be and format equals PDF. And record ID is going to be here. And the only thing I would say with this is that if the only place you was going to use the record ID is in this place, and you say two text, I would have put two text here and made this a text variable. And that's how I would have did it, but to each his own. I mean, he's on an article. I'm not. I'm reading the article, so we'll just take that. We'll just say that is what it is. But this here is the rendered URL endpoint from this, and it looks pretty clean to me. It's good to just go ahead and copy this. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this whole thing, and then we'll go into the field for the table, the fields for the table. We'll create a new field, and we'll call this template one. And we'll make this a formula URL field. Formulas, URL, formula URL. This is what we're going to make. So I click on that. Paste this in here. And we'll review it. Okay. So what do we have here? We have the record ID. You wouldn't have to change that. Template ID. Let's take a look at the template itself. Document templates. We have one. Record ID is one. The name here. Let's go in here and let's take the name. We're going to take some names. We're going to take some names. So file name is this name. PDF. That's what we want. Not right, not left. We're going to leave that. We understand what that is. We're not going to touch it. This and this. Okay, we wouldn't have to do anything here because that checks out. Let's go ahead and save it. Okay, so this should work. All right, so it's there now. Let's take a look here. Let's look at what it looks like. Look at that. Look at that. That looks great to me. Well, it doesn't look exactly like the Word document, but if you've been through what I've been through, you know this looks awesome. I got my thing that I put here. I'll put this here, this is here, this is the same as here. So that's the details there. Details there. It's pulling the record specific items from the record and it's bringing it into this document. And here I decided to just go ahead and put a table in. And this is the table. These are my clients. Those are the tables there. All right. And that's the document. That looks good. That looks good. That's awesome. So hats off to QuickBase. This is going to eliminate a lot of headaches when it comes to this type of stuff. It takes away the need for you to go to a third party company to get this solution. You can do this right in house. You don't have to take care of no separate billings for it. You don't have to pay anybody else. You can just do this right here. I mean, this is awesome. If you're new to my channel, do all the YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe, hit the notifications. We're gonna have some pretty wild things happen on this channel. But thanks for stopping by. Have a good day.